Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Fort Worth Roots. You can find Fort Worth Roots on all of your favorite streaming platforms, and if you ever find one that I'm not on, you let me know and I'll get it up there the next day. We're on Apple and Spotify and all those different streaming services. There's also videos associated with these. You can go to YouTube. And by the way, most of these have a search bar. If you don't like the search function on whichever player you're using, you can go to fortworthroots.com and click on episodes, and you can type in the name of somebody that we've interviewed, and it will pop right up. It's a really good search bar. So easy to find anything in our catalog. I have gotten whispers. I've heard things from other podcasters complaining that we put out so much content that you can't ever find what you're looking for. There's a search bar. It's very intuitive. I promise it works great. Thank you all so much for being here. This episode was recorded out at McFly's Pub. We do this every Tuesday night in front of a live audience. And we've got a live audience microphone that is there for you. It doesn't matter if you're just trying to promote your macaroni art. Whatever you got going on. If it's happening in North Texas, we want people to know about it. And last checked, we are in front of 200,000 accounts every month. So if that kind of attention, free attention, sounds like something you could use for your brand, your business, whatever, come on out, get on this audience mic at the end of the episode. You'll hear it today in this episode. A bunch of people get to promote what they got going on. They all get a minute. And then when the show is over, once we're done and we're wrapping things up, I take the people that have things to promote outside in front of one of those big, beautiful McFly's Pub murals, and we do a little shout out to let people say, hey, this is where you can find me, and this is what my company is. And then we compile that into one big video and release it every week. It's a great way to promote your stuff. That's what I'm saying. But aside from that, we always have an interesting guest, and today we sat down with a local author. Let me ask you a question. You like books? Well, you're going to love this one. Mark is, and I'm sorry to my author buddies out there, because there's a lot of really incredible, talented Fort Worth authors out there. Mark is absolutely my favorite. He has had so many really excellent works of art that he's put together, and he puts a lot of time into these. He's investigative. Lots of cool details in every one of his books. This one that we're covering today, the one that he released just recently, is called Stories of a Different Dark, and it's a series of shorts, and it is just nonstop fun all the way through. At the time of this recording, when we sat down with Mark, I had only gotten like 3 pages in. But now I've gotten a little bit further, and I'm telling you, this is excellent. It's very entertaining, and it's got some tricks and some turns that you're not going to see coming. So again, that is Stories of a Different Dark. We'll have that in the show notes. You can find it on all of the things, Amazon and wherever else you shop for books. Mark_A_Nobles_stories is where you can find our friend. And on Instagram. Yes, on the Instagram. Thank you guys so much for being part of Fort Worth Roots. Every time you tune into one of these episodes, it helps us reach a broader community. Thank you very much. We hope to see you out at the next Tuesday night out at McFly's Pub here in Fort Worth, Texas. They start at 5 o'clock. There is no cover, and if you don't have something to promote, that's okay too. Just come have fun with us. Thank y'all for being here. That's enough talking out of me. Please give it up for my good friend, Mark Nobles. And let's start the show. Check. I'll tell you what, if the River Oaks Tourism Department wants to buy the brand, I'm down. This could become the River Oaks Roots podcast show, featuring Darren every week. Oh, yeah. The illustrious, the amazing, the talented Darren Houck. But until then, it's going to be the Fort Worth Roots. Thank you guys for being here. My name is Andrew. I'm with Fort Worth Roots. We are dedicated to assisting small businesses and providing an additional stage for local musicians. Thank you. We do this every week, Tuesdays, 5 o'clock, and you guys showing up and being part of our group means so much. If you are a business owner, if you have a brand, if you're a creator of any kind, we want to make sure that you get the highlight. So whenever we get towards the end of the conversation with Mark A. Nobles, that was for you.
It was spontaneous.
It was spontaneous. It really was. Once we get to the end of that, I'm going to pass the audience microphone around, and you guys get to talk about your brand, your company, your business, whatever you got going on, upcoming events, and we will play it on the show. We had so many people in here last week, I had to say, okay, look, everybody gets 1 minute, because last week I think everybody took like 2 to 5, maybe 10 minutes. It was ridiculous. Anyway, if you guys would like to connect with us online, it is Fort Worth Roots. That's on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the things. And we do a morning show, Monday through Thursday. It releases at 9 a.m., and it is all about you guys. What do you have going on? What's your next big event? What are you trying to promote? You can call into the show, or you can just leave an audio recording on Instagram, and we will play it on the Fort Worth Roots podcast. And just so you guys know, everybody's niece, uncle, nephew has a podcast, but not everybody's got a Fort Worth Roots. We've been doing this for 5 years. We have 200,000 accounts that we touch every month, and we take this very seriously. This is my full-time job. I do not have another job, and my wife is very nice about it. But I do. I take this very seriously, and we release 5 to 9 episodes every week. And the next episode that's going to drop is our episode with City Manager Jay Chapa. So if you're ever looking for what's going on in the community, that's kind of where we fit in. That's what we're trying to do. And we've had the mayor of River Oaks on the show like 7 times. It's the biggest feather we have in our hat. All right, Mark, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. Little fist bump. That just helped me out. Makes me feel better. Yeah. All right. Here we go, folks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday night at McFly's. We got Mark A. Nobles. Yeah, we got a good crowd tonight. Oh my God, who's that crazy person over there? Excellent. Mark, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Pull that mic just a little closer to your face hole.
Is that better to my face hole?
It's a little bit better. Here, let's see what I can do on my end. Check,
right.
check.
Oh, there we go.
There we are.
There
All
we
right.
go.
Beautiful. Now, this we were talking about this right before we got on camera. You and I have known each other for years. Mm-hmm. So we had to be kind of deliberate with how much time we allotted for ourselves. We're going to probably squeeze a little bit of time together here. Just make sure we don't go over limits.
Sure.
Right? Sure. But I got to say, just right off the bat, you are one of my best friends. And that might come off as a shock, but I don't have a lot of friends.
Oh, no. No, really?
So you're top 10 for sure.
Okay, out of 8.
Yeah, out of 8. But I really do appreciate it, and I'm a little inspired by your tenacity. You are cranking out books every time I look up, and it's impressive because I know that's no small task.
It takes a lot of time. And a lot of effort. I have callous typing fingers here. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is, I mean, I've been writing for a long, long time. I just released the Stories of a Different Dart in March, I believe. And then probably late June, early July, I've got a novella coming out called Chalk Mountain. But like Chalk Mountain, I wrote 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And then I've got 2 more. I've got another novella called Dead Cat Bounce. It's my favorite title ever.
Now, help me out. I have a GED. What's a novella?
A novella is a shorter novel.
Okay.
Okay, so you want the rundown?
Yes.
Everybody, this is going to be fascinating.
Okay.
All right, so you have flash fiction, which is usually like under 1,000 words. And it can be like shorter. There are places out there that they want stories that are just 100 words long, which I don't do that. But
okay.
So flash fiction is 1,000 or under. A short story is like over 1,000 to like 10,000 words or so. Over 10,000, like 10,000 to 12 to 15,000 is a novelette.
Novelette.
Sounds like something you would, like a tissue. But
can you make it sound a little French and just call it a novelette?
Novelette. I didn't even know that
Italian?
existed until about 5 years ago. And then 15 to like 50,000 words is a novella. And then anything over 50,000 words is a novel.
Now, is this part of the curriculum that you have to know in order to take the exam to earn the title of author?
No, you just got to put words on paper to be an author. And then when you start shoving things out there, you learn all of the little things that exist out there.
I got to, now that we're talking about the qualifications to be an author, I think it's important for people to know that not all authors are created equal. And no names, but I've read some books for some people that we've had on the show, and they're not as good as a Mark A. Noble's book. Sometimes that happens.
Sometimes.
Because,
I appreciate that.
Because there's different echelons, different tiers.
Well, and different tastes. People like different things.
But not everybody had to take an exam.
I'll tell you what. I truly admire anyone that puts words on paper, puts paint on canvas, writes music and lyrics, and then stands up in front of people. If you create something and then take the next step and throw it out into the world, I mean, my hat's off to you.
Yeah, that's big.
Because there are way more writers, there are way more painters, there are way more musicians that and that's fine. I'm not saying it's bad. It's whatever you want to do with your art. But there are way more people that don't take that next step to putting it out there. So, to me, hats off to everybody that not only creates. Everybody should create. It just makes your life better.
Yeah.
But then to go out there and just toss it into the world, that's a different step.
I meant to pay you a compliment, but now I feel kind of like an a-hole. But you're right. No matter what level they're at, whenever people put words on page or paint on canvas or whatever, they should be commended for that, because not only are you putting yourself out there, but it takes work, it takes time.
It does. I have a very good friend of mine who's here tonight. His name is Dennis.
Where's Dennis?
Dennis is over there.
There's Dennis.
Dennis worked at
Welcome,
a bookstore that isn't paying to be a sponsor, so we're not going to mention him. But he worked for them for a long time, and he would call me up and say, "Hey, just they sell new and mainly used, so I'm not giving it away."
Right.
Who it was. And so he would call me up when people would come in and sell, and he's gotten me some real gems. He got me the Lake Worth Goatman book.
Ooh.
That is only 500 copies were ever made in like 1969, and I've been hunting them down for decades, and I couldn't. When I would find one, it'd be like $800. And he found one for me, and
crazy.
And it was reasonable. But he also would call me because he knows that I collect odd books. Fort Worth too, absolutely. But odd books. One of my favorite books in my collection, besides my Lake Worth Goatman book, I can't remember the title, and it's really hard to pronounce anyway. But the author is Dwayne the Great Writer.
Oh, you told me about this.
So I love all kinds of books and all manner of books, and whether they're readable or not. But Dwayne the Great, this guy, some dude named Dwayne
the Great,
he put a lot of words on paper. It's a pretty thick book. And then he threw it out in the world, and now one of those copies is sitting on my bookshelf.
That's excellent.
So, it takes a lot of, I just admire that for people to do that.
That is excellent. You totally off-railed me with that comment, because now all I can think about is Dwayne the Great. There is a song by Matthew Broyles. Does anybody know the Lake Worth Monster? I think that's the name of the song, right? That's one of my favorite Fort Worth songs, because it's all about Goatman and Goatman Island.
I've got many stories with the Goatman. I love it. My Goatman is named Edward.
Can you tell us about Edward? Can you give us a brief rundown of the
Edward has several
Monster?
Different, like the real one, the legend. I'll tell you the legend.
Oh, okay. Is this different?
No, well, my Lake Worth Goatman, he's in a bunch of stories. He's in a couple of stories in Different Dark. He's in a couple of the novellas. I don't know. He's one of my reoccurring characters. Okay. But in '69,
right?
But there were stories. These kids came back and they had seen this Goatman. He was throwing tires at teenagers that were parking down around Lake Worth.
Folks, this is documented. These are in newspapers.
It's in
you
the
can
newspaper.
read these stories.
There's
It's
a picture.
archived.
There's a picture of him and drawings of him throwing the tires.
It's real.
My biggest heartbreak with the Goat Man is for several years, all up and down Jacksboro Highway, they sold like 3-foot tall ceramic statues of the Goat Man, looking all Goat Man-y. And my Aunt Nita bought one, and it sat in her front yard forever. I pleaded, I begged my mom. I was like 9, 10 years old at this point. I'm like, we need a Goat Man. And my mom's like, no. And I was like,
Just
well, keep it in my room. We don't have to put it in the front yard. I just want one. But she didn't. It was a hard childhood, man. A hard childhood.
I get that.
But anyway, my Aunt Nita had one, and I don't know what happened to it, but I never wound. I've got the book, but I'm still looking if anybody sees a very old ceramic Goat Man. It looks like it's from the 60s.
Do you think there's still any intact?
I doubt it.
Gotta be, right? Somebody's got one somewhere.
But anyway, he popped up. He was here, and then he was gone. But Goat Man lives forever. There's out at the Nature Center down 199.
Jacksboro.
Every spring they have a Goat Fest.
As they should.
And
as required by law.
He's still Jack Dawg has a wonderful.
I own it.
I
own one.
Yep.
If you folks don't own a Jack Dawg original, you are missing out. You don't even Fort Worth yet.
Yep.
Jack Dawg is a very accomplished local artist. And what is what would you call the type of art that he does?
It's folk art or outsider art, I guess.
But what do you call the actual technique?
Oh, that's
because he carves out stamps, right?
It's a wood. It's
lathe?
It's a press.
Is it
I don't
press?
know. We should move
What
on.
is the
We
word
don't
we're
know.
looking for? Anyway, I've never seen anything like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly not locally. And yeah, it's folk art.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really incredible. Yeah, I have the Lake Worth Goat Man on the studio. I got some depressing news for anybody that cares. It's not depressing. Let's not make it sad. The Fort Worth Roots studio, which has been located at Yell and Meandering for years now, we've decided to close that thing down because we opened it up with the help of the Houck family, and it was getting underutilized. And so after some hard conversations, we decided, well, it's time to give that back to the Houck family and let them do something more productive with it. So we're pulling things out of there. But one of the things I pulled off the wall was Jack Dawg, Lake Worth Monster, and I can't remember what he actually calls it, but that's what it is. It's Goat Man.
Yeah, it's a Goat Man. Absolutely. No mistaken.
So did you have any more insight into Goat Man before we move on? Because I got a lot. I got notes.
No, let's move on.
Now, I wrote this myself. Mark A. Nobles, don't forget the middle initial. He's sensitive about that. Writes Southern Gothic horror, Chalk Mountain, folk horror, Stories of a Different Dark, magical realism, Dead Cat Bounce, historical fiction, We're for Smoke. No, that's a documentary. And Picnic on the Square. And local histories, Fort Worth's rock and roll roots and River Oaks. Mark does not have ADD. Neither do I. He has varied interests which are reflected in his diverse writing genres. He has a Pushcart nomination, and his short stories have appeared in numerous literary magazines and anthologies. Mark is a sixth-generation Texan, born on Fort Worth's infamous Jacksboro Highway, and proudly claims blood and kinship with Thunder Road's gamblers, outlaws, and wastrels.
Wastrels. Wastrels.
What is that word? I wrote this.
It's called wastrel.
What is it, though?
It's somebody who's wasting their life. They're a vagabond, a
vagabond.
ne'er-do-well.
Okay.
Okay.
So, hooked on phonics. Anyway, after a lifetime in Fort Worth, he lives in Dallas now. Boo! Was I the only one booing?
Yeah.
But hopes to die in the desert. Which desert?
West Texas.
Okay. Not Terlingua.
Maybe.
When's the last time you were in Terlingua?
Ooh, it's been a while. It's been a while since I've been down that far down.
That is a different reality.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I keep
It's
trying
just-
to talk the wife into buying property down there so that we can just
It's
live on Mars.
pretty much,
Basically.
pretty much. But it's beautiful country, and it is. It's just a different mindset. I mean, you know, they don't call Grand Prairie for nothing. We live on a prairie.
Yeah.
But you get out there, and it is a different thing. But it's very peaceful to me. I love it.
I'm rifling through your stack of books here because, let's see, where did my story with Mark Nobles start? I think it was either Fort Worth Rock and Roll Roots or We're for Smoke. Do you remember which one you handed me first?
Probably Rock and Roll Roots.
So, if you guys don't know, Fort Worth was responsible for not just statewide, not just national, but international events that happened in rock and roll in our history. Fort Worth is a very special place, and Mark's book, Fort Worth's Rock and Roll Roots, which I believe, can you still pick these up at the local CVS?
Oh, yeah, and hardware stores.
And hardware stores. This is a wonderful read, and you just don't know anything about Fort Worth until you've picked up a copy of this. And that's how I met Mark Nobles, so we decided. But in short order, and either at the same time, right before or right after, I read We're for Smoke, Outlaws and Outliers of Panther City. And this is hands down, sorry to everybody out there that has written a book and was on the show, this is my favorite Fort Worth book. I love this. I had no problem reading this cover to cover, and he calls it historical fiction. Mark takes a lot of pride in his work. He researches the details painstakingly, and so you could almost consider this a historical Bible of Fort Worth. My words, not his. I love this book. If you have not read this book, you need to, especially if you're a fan of books or Fort Worth, you need to read this book. We're for Smoke. And this is the first time I was introduced to the flag.
Yeah.
The original Fort Worth flag is on the cover. And I posted a picture the other day of you pointing at it like this and showing everybody in an audience. But We're for Smoke was on the original Fort Worth flag.
Flag. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're looking at it, it's got my second favorite part of it is the horse and the cow rearing up on their hind legs at the top. But then you've got the skyline of Fort Worth, and this is 1912. And then right above it is just this thick black smoke pouring out of the chimneys.
Disgusting.
And this is 1912. It's the second industrial revolution. We're just now getting electricity, into homes. Cars are starting to take over. Fort Worth, we've got the meatpacking plants are opening up. There were a bunch of car manufacturers here. And so if your city was so filthy with smog, if you couldn't see across the street, that meant that your economy was blowing and going.
And that was really interesting to me because, I mean, over the decades, it's turned into, if you have polluted air, you're in a bad place.
You're a bad place.
But back then, it meant prosperity. It meant jobs.
Yeah.
It meant good economy.
Mm-hmm. And so, so they were actively promoting to everyone that to come over, bring your businesses to Fort Worth because we're blowing and going, and let's just put more smoke out there.
Yeah. I thought that was crazy. All right, which one have we not covered yet? Here we go. I am a proud owner of a signed copy of River Oaks by Mark Nobles. Well, I guess I'll read it the way it's printed. It's not true, but I'll read it the way it's printed. Darren Houck and Mark Nobles. They went door to door in River Oaks, a very old and established community, and they asked all the people that they thought would have access to old pictures, maybe stuffed in a shoebox under the bed, and they went through with the families and pulled out these old photographs from River Oaks back in the 1920s, 1930s.
Oh, yeah. I mean, some of the oldest ones, really, like 1900. There's one of my favorite ones is this baby, can't be like 2 or 3 years old, sitting on a blanket. There's a buggy, like didn't have cars.
Yeah.
It was a buggy behind them, and it's just sitting there. There's no adults around it or nothing. There's just this 3-year-old sitting on a blanket in the middle of the field somewhere. It was actually what is now the family that owned that land. It's a runway at Carswell.
Oh, really?
Carswell. That shows my age.
NAS,
JRB.
Yeah, I still call it Carswell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, yeah, we've got pictures that go back to the 1900s. And, I mean, there are families. That's the thing. River Oaks is a weird little town, man.
It's amazing, yeah. And it really, to me, after reading that book, and you could probably say this about a lot of small cities around Texas, but the special thing about River Oaks is that those families still live here.
Yeah.
And you don't see as much of that maybe, or maybe they're harder to identify or find and talk to. But what you were able to cultivate are the stories of people that have been here since the beginning of the city's, what do you call that?
It was first incorporated.
Incorporated, yeah. So that's amazing. And it tells a great story.
What's weird about it is that, I mean, yeah, if you're a little town out in the middle of nowhere, then you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Nobody's going in or out. You're just sort of there. But River Oaks is completely landlocked, surrounded by big city. Fort Worth on most of it, most of its border. But these River Oaks people, you don't go into Grump's or River Oaks Cafe and just mention, oh yeah, we're in Fort Worth. People will correct you.
No.
You are not in Fort Worth. You're in River Oaks. But a lot of the cities still. The woman whose family started where Roofing Solutions is.
Are you talking about Shirley?
Shirley, her family has been there since the late 20s. They started they basically built a mall.
Well, what people might be most shocked about is that. Wasn't it on that property somewhere they were boasting that they had the first indoor toilet?
I think so.
Right?
No. It was the first his and her separated outhouse. Oh. So they had, most of the time it was just an outhouse.
And this was big talk. Like people were like, "Oh my God, we got to go check that out."
Yeah. It was a big deal.
I got to do my business there.
It was a big deal, just for the ladies.
Yeah,
just for the ladies.
Yeah. So
anyway.
So
she still lives on that property. Her family's been there for 100 years,
and she is constantly trying to bring me cookies and food, and she is just the sweetest human on the planet. Yeah. We've had many cups of coffee and chatted about kind of the stuff that you covered in the book because she was here for all of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I feel so guilty, especially in the summertime, because she's, I don't know, in her 80s, I guess. And I'll pull up to the office.
I know where this is going.
At, 10 till 8, and she's mowing her yard.
She loves working in that yard.
She's
and by the way,
pushing that lawnmower.
She has been submitted for best yard in River Oaks, and by God, y'all better go vote for her. What's Shirley's last name?
Oh, man, Shirley Bunker.
Shirley Bunker. Best yard in River Oaks, by far. Every month. They do it monthly now. Do you know that?
Yeah, they just started.
Ridiculous. She should just win for the year, every year.
Well, they're going to run out soon because there's not that many yards in River Oaks.
That's right. And fewer that take care of them or care,
yeah.
Right? All right. So I don't know if y'all remember, but Mark told us all that he released this book in March, right? Did everybody hear that? Mm-hmm. He gave me this book 3 days ago, and I haven't read it. But I did crack into the first story, and it immediately grabbed my attention the way that any Mark Noble's book does. The cover art on this has a story in and of itself, and I know that Mark loves this. So tell people how you came up with this, because this is a fun piece of cover art.
I did not. Got on Fiverr.
Yep.
And started looking around, and found this guy that I liked his work, and contacted him. We talked a little bit, and the back cover. Just read the first sentence here. These Texas tales of mischief and mayhem will carry you from the piney woods all the way up to Fort Worth and meander into far into the and meander as far west as Muleshoe. So East Texas, Fort Worth, Muleshoe. So I talked to this guy. I gave him the back cover, told him about some of the different stories, and he sent over 2 samples for me to check.
Just based off of that?
Just based off of the back cover, mainly.
Yeah.
And the first one had some trees at the bottom. They were pine trees. And then right in the middle was that, the famous shot of the stockyards, the sign over Exchange with the longhorns. And then slapped above that was just these big mountains with snow on top and a desert, kind of. And I'm like, we don't have mountains.
Well, Muleshoe, is that still in Texas?
Oh, yeah, Muleshoe is
that's
way west
towards
Texas.
New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's way west Texas.
Yeah, it's just west of Lubbock. Yeah, I remember. You go through Muleshoe on your way to Clovis, and it smells like absolute manure.
Yeah. So anyway, it was just these 3, piney woods, a symbol of Fort Worth, and a mountain.
That sounds like ChatGPT.
Yeah.
That's what that sounds like.
And I'm looking at that, and then this was the other one. And so I looked at the first one, and I was like, I'm in trouble. And then I pulled up the second one, and I was like, oh, thank God. I love that. Is great.
No.
And then I sent him. That's the funny part I think you're talking about. I sent him.
I wasn't hunting for this part of the story.
To my partner, Deborah, and I'm like, oh, look at these. One of them is obviously horrible, but the other one I love. And so she's looking at him, and she knows my love of Fort Worth. And so she's a little terrified that I'm in love with the one that has the stockyards on it. And she's like, how am I going to tell him that? That is horrible. But yeah, this one was a no-brainer. It was perfect. I go to book fairs and book festivals all the time, a couple of times a month at least. And I've got a poster of it sitting up in the book sitting up, and it will. Before this came out, I mean, these are fine covers, but they don't really.
Yeah, this one
hit
makes you want to ask questions.
This one hits
for
you.
Sure.
Yeah, the eyes follow you. But I love the cover.
So let's talk about the book a little bit. I'm going to read the back cover for these folks. These Texas tales of mischief and mayhem will carry you from the piney woods all the way up to Fort Worth and meander as far west as Muleshoe. But even locals may not recognize the landscape. Jumping genres like a jackalope through folk horror, fantasy, and science fiction, this collection knows no borders. Populated by bored demons waiting for a taste of sin, a condemned man saved and destroyed by his fiddle, a desperate janitor left to mop up after a failed rapture, a disappearing boy who runs into the arms of a monster, and a reluctant creator of the universe. The countryside of nobles' imagination is as varied and wild as the Lone Star State. A group of friends in a bar may or may not have had a brush with the Almighty. 2 old friends meet at a Texas crossroads to continue their epic and mysterious journey. A little girl with a special gift sees dark forces closing in that are invisible to the rest of the world. A man who has chosen to spend his life consuming the sins of others seeks to lay his burden down in a mist of shocking fashion. A couple walking home late at night discover they are not the people they thought they were. That's hard to read fast because of the font. It's a weird font, but I like it. Take a trip through a country where creatures of legend beckon from the shadows, and the uncanny might be sitting on the next bar stool. So I cracked into the first story, and I am eager to figure out what the hell happened, because you got these 2 guys. One of them is facing death the next morning, and the other guy sounds like he's not really worried about it. Sounds like he's going to be getting out soon. And there's a fiddle sitting there, and he asks the guy that's getting out soon, he asks the other guy that's condemned to death, basically, if he plays fiddle. And the guy says, yeah, but it doesn't really matter, does it? I'm going to be dead tomorrow. And the other guy says, well, what if I told you that you could play the fiddle so good that there's no way they would even think of hanging you tomorrow morning? And that's where so now I got like 3 pages in. But, yeah, great stuff. It's going to be a roller coaster ride, it sounds like, from the back cover. And
Kind of walk us through what your thought process was whenever you wrote this book. This collection of shorts.
Well, I mean, there was no thought. I mean, each story was its own thought process. I love history. I mean,
Obviously.
nonfiction, historical fiction,
Documentary.
So most of my horror is folk horror, based on like the creature, I guess, in Black Ankle Fiddler is called the Noken, and he's sort of a trickster god, and he's a fiddle player himself and a shapeshifter.
So the name, immediately I was thinking Norwegian.
It's Norwegian.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm really smart. I don't know if y'all caught that.
The Noken, actually, the novella that's coming out next month has got the Noken in it, and a Huldra, and I'm missing one. Oh, the Myling, and another one I can't pronounce. But
you know how to write it.
The English translation is Brook Horse.
Okay.
And it's a crazy way. It's a horse that rides. It's a beautiful horse that rides around and tries to get kids to jump on its back, and it gets as many kids to ride it around as it can, and then it just trots them all over to a lake or a brook or a river, and jumps in and drowns all the children.
This is like the 1800s version of don't go getting in strange vans.
Don't get in the van. Yeah. So anyway, the Noken. I love folk stories, folk histories, and I don't care where they're from. If they're, Norwegian, German, whatever, I will bring them back to Texas.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's the great thing about Texas is we have such a mixed culture. I mean, the German population,
Thick,
we've got the best stuff around. Down in Central Texas, I mean, everybody from all parts of the world here, so I can bring them legitimately in, and they've been here since before it was Texas.
Uh-huh.
So we've got a long heritage, many different cultures, so I can mix and match on those. So a lot of it is folk horror, and then I don't know, one of the things they tell you when you're a writer is to write what you want to read, right?
Yeah.
They tell you write what you know and write what you want to read. So I write what I want to read.
Yeah.
And that's why the jump in genres like a jackalope is I will just go wherever I want to go.
All over the place.
And so all of the weirder stories, I just kept writing them and sending them out. A little more than half the stories in here have been published previously in anthologies and magazines, and then I just kept going until I collected enough to have enough for an anthology.
A solid book, yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to cracking into this one, and it's going to be the first time that I've actually seen true fiction from Mark Nobles, so that's going to be interesting.
That's true.
It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah. And then so you got to get because these are all short stories. So now next month when Chalk Mountain comes out, that's like it's not a novel, but it's it's one story. So you got to get that. So you've read the short stories, you've read the nonfiction, then the historical fiction. So then you got to read the long work.
And for those of you that are curious about the River Oaks book, there's great details in there, but the pictures are just absolutely incredible, and it took them so much work to curate that. So I just had to pop that in there as a last-minute fact. But what do you have left on the horizon? What's next?
Just words on paper, man. Just keep doing words on paper. Every September, October, I will sit down and look at what I did this last year and take a look ahead at what I want to do the next year.
Yeah.
And so for the last 10 years, I have really just been locked in a room and putting words on paper. And so now I'm starting to flood the market here a little bit. Like I say, I've got the novella coming out in July. I have another novella and then a full novel coming out hopefully in 2026. We just finished editing the novella about 3 weeks ago, so I'm hoping to come out in the spring.
Okay.
And then the novel is a historical fiction, The Picnic on a Square. And I think Picnic is my best work. I'm in love with that book. So I'm anxious for it to come out. And they're coming out through a publisher based out of L.A.
I was just about to ask you that. Who's the publishing company?
This one, I self-published this one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
that's awesome. I love that.
Arcadia Press does
right.
the River Oaks in the Fort Worth, and then TCU Press published that.
Okay. Very cool.
Although we're gonna have breaking news here.
Okay.
It hasn't been announced anywhere in the world.
Okay.
I'm gonna start. Instead of just self-publishing these, just putting them out and blah blah blah, I'm gonna start a publishing company.
That is so rad.
Just for my stuff. I'm not going to take it,
Oh, come
on. No.
That's greedy.
I don't have time for that. But instead of just having these self-published with no publisher on them, I'm going to start a little press.
Okay.
It's going to be, and the name of the press I've decided is going to be Sensitive Cracker.
Okay. And you're final on that name.
Pretty fine.
Excellent. Love it.
A lot of my characters, my guys, they're poor white trash. You know what I mean? They come
Vagabonds.
They're wastrels.
Wastrels.
They come from the wrong side, but they got heart. They're good people.
Yeah.
Going with it.
Most of them off of Jacksboro. 199.
A lot of them off of Jacksboro. That's where, I was born like 2 blocks off of Jacksboro where the sub-courthouse is.
Yeah.
My tonsils are at the bottom of Lake Worth.
Oh, my God. That's why I won't get in that damn lake.
Off the Lake Worth, the 199 bridge.
So we got F-16s and all sorts of...
Oh, yeah. There's jet fuel. There's nuclear waste and dead bodies.
And Mark Noble's tonsils.
And my tonsils. Although they dredged it up, the tonsils might have got sucked up in that.
I'm sure somebody had a good meal. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, they were in a glass jar.
That breaks down after a while, I guess.
Glass.
Maybe. It's a pretty violent body of water. I could see how it got broke. Maybe. Well, I didn't do a bit of justice earlier when I was telling folks that you are one of my best friends here in Fort Worth. So Fort Worth Roots is 5 years old, and about a year and a half, 2 years into it, I got to know the Hauk family, and then by proxy, I got to meet Mark Nobles, and I was building this thing up to where we could start doing live events, and many times over the years, Mark has donated his time to help us promote the Fort Worth Roots brand so that we could put on these events and put a spotlight on local artists, musicians, and just kind of try to connect the community and try to save some small businesses, which doesn't always work out, but you got to try.
You got to try.
But thank you for everything that you've done for me and the Fort Worth Roots brand, and we're always here to support Mark Nobles.
Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate what you do. I'm obviously... I love Fort Worth. This is my home, and I put one of my goals with the things that I write is I want to create a literary landscape that's that's based around Fort Worth. I want people to read, people from everywhere else, to learn a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate anybody that does the same thing, that gets out there, promotes Fort Worth, and Fort Worth is nothing if it's not its people.
Yeah.
And so, and we have such a long history. Western swing was born in Fort Worth. We've got a great rock and roll history. We've got a fantastic jazz history. All kinds of music, all kinds of writers. Lots of art has come out of Fort Worth. We have some of the best museums in the world. They're world-class museums, art museums. And so, anytime I see somebody that's really... has their heart in the right place and is out there, spreading the word about Cowtown, then I'm happy to pitch in, and I have a blast every time.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got the audience microphone. First thing up, who wants to ask Mark Nobles about some things that you read in his books? Or just stuff you want to ask Mark Nobles? Look at it. It's orange, and it's calling to you. Mandy, you're not afraid of a microphone. Would you like to have the microphone? Somebody has to start, or nobody will. All right, so we do this every week. There's an audience microphone that goes around. The first point is so that you can be part of the conversation, and then we'll open it up to local business owners and musicians. Mandy
Do I stand here or do I go back over there?
Don't get too close to that speaker.
Oh, I better, yeah.
You know how this works.
Well, sort of. I'm always bad at this.
It's okay.
Hey,
You're
Mark,
doing
what's
great.
up?
Hi, how are you?
I don't really, well, the one question I can think of is my grandma used to live in a trailer park off Isbell Road.
Uh-huh.
Is that in this River Oaks book?
Isbell? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know if the trailer park's in it. But
I don't even
we
know
do
if it's
talk
still
about
there,
Isbell.
but
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I can't wait to read your fiction. That sounds great.
Well, thank
They
you.
are great.
All right.
Thank you.
Now, Mandy, you got to hand that to
Oh.
somebody over there.
All right.
Thank you, Mandy.
What is the first thing you read that made you want to write? First
my
story
goodness.
or book or whatever.
The first book that I really remember falling in love with and just reading until the pages fell out was a hard copy, a hardback book of Aesop's Fables.
Wow.
And I still have it at the house.
How'd you get the pages back in?
They're just in there. but yeah, I read that thing. I think that's the first book that I ever fell in love with. And I think the first thing that made me want to write, probably a Bradbury, one of the Bradbury
I
stuff.
knew it would be Ray Bradbury.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Will you give that to somebody else? I know there's got to be somebody at that table that wants to talk to Mark Nobles. just take it over there. Somebody will grab it.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. Out of the entire writing process, what do you find is like the most challenging part of it? Editing or like actually getting the words out or
Okay. So none of it, because the challenging parts, I don't do.
okay.
Like the editing,
Take
Okay.
that.
I'm horrible.
Okay.
I'm horrible at
So
it,
you
and it's
just make
hard.
Someone else do that.
I have the greatest editor, and yeah. So, but I mean, it's. I don't know, really. I mean, it's all fun. You have to really, you have to enjoy. There's parts of it in the process that you get frustrated with.
Right. Yes.
Probably. But I learned a long time ago, one of my coaches in high school, actually junior high, was like, do something that you love, find out what you're good at in that process, and hammer that part of it.
Right.
Do what you're good at in the thing that you love.
Right.
And try and avoid as much as possible doing the things that you're not good at, and get help. That's where you rely on your team and, stuff like that. And so, yeah, that's kind of, that's the thing, is the things that I do find frustrating for me or difficult. That's when you get help and go. Yeah. I like, but
Does
think
that
that's a
answer
good
your question? Oh, something terrible happened. I can fix it. There we go. Okay, yeah. There's got to be one other person over there at that table that would love to say something to Mark.
When do you find yourself most inspired to write? Like, what kind of what provokes you to like write a story?
I see things, and they just, like I said earlier, write what you want to read, and so that's why I love the history so much. Is there's just some weird stuff out there, and so I will just see things or creatures or some mythology, that it sort of speaks to me, and that's when and then I just go. In the writing community, I'm what's called a pantser. I write by the seat of my pants. I see a person or people in a place, and they're doing things and they're talking, and I just start writing that down and following them. I believe that, to me, what makes a book interesting and readable are the characters. The plot, plots are for sissies. I don't do plots. I worry about the plot later. The characters start doing things, and they make up the plot. I love to watch the people that I see in my head and what they're doing and follow them. And then at a certain point, the conflict comes in, and once the conflict hits the characters, at that point, that's kind of when I come out of it. I now see that it's a story. So now I've got characters, and they've been doing all this, whatever they're doing, and then I got a problem, and so then I see the solution, and obviously there's different ways to, I just have to decide where I want to take it into its conclusion. But yeah, I get inspired, and those of you who have lived with me understand, I don't take naps. Naps are work.
Yeah.
I'm meditating. That's where the magic happens. And so that's where I see these people talking a lot of time for the first time. Once I see them the first time, then they're mine. That's a good horror story. And I can go back into that and watch them keep going as they're doing. But that meditating, napping, halfway between being awake and, because everything comes. There's no inspiration. There's no lightning bolts. I truly believe that inspiration comes from your subconscious, so you keep throwing things into the subconscious, and then the subconscious throws people and situations back out to you. And that's where I find my inspiration.
You keep throwing ingredients in the soup, and then every once in a while you pull out a carrot.
I do. I've told my youngest about, when I get stuck in a story, I have this field surrounded by trees, and there's a well in the middle of the field. And I walk out to the well, and I look into the well, and I tell it what I'm upset about, where I'm stuck. And once I throw it down the well, then I'm cool. I don't feel bad anymore. I walk away from the well, and then usually within 2 or 3 days, the well tells me what to do.
I am hearing that there is probably a litany of different ways to get to the creative point that brings up these characters, but you've developed over years your own special way of doing that, and probably everybody's experience in that journey is probably going to be a little bit different.
Yeah. A lot of people, they got to know what they're writing before they write it.
Yeah.
And that freezes me. It just freezes me, so I don't do it as much.
Oh, the mic came back.
Yes.
Please state your government name.
It is. We will not be doing that in here. This is not that kind of bar.
Okay.
So, alluding back to what you're saying, where, you are at the point now to where you have a very unique niche in what you're writing about. And I love your statement about, finding things that you are really good at and steering away from things that you're not so good at. And that reminds me of Rick Rubin. Like, he's got the greatest advice ever. Just do what you love. It just might turn out that other people love that too. So in your journey to where you are now, were there other subjects that you ventured into
Oh.
that you realized, no, that's just not right? And what was it? Like, what intuition was it that steered you towards this direction?
So I've always wanted to be a writer, but then I ran from actually doing the work for a long time. And so I spent a little bit of time writing plays, theater, doing the theater thing. You're surrounded, it's very collaborative. And then I spent a lot of years working in film. And with really I went into film because I wanted to write screenplays. But I kept working for producers that failed spectacularly, and they never got made. And so one day I was just like, you know what, I can fail as good as anybody else. And so I just decided to start producing my own work. And so I made documentaries and some short films. And so I spent a long time not really putting the words on paper and throwing it out. And so I worked in theater for a while, did a lot of film work, and it's just collaboration is fun. Collaboration is also really, really frustrating. And so after a while, I was just like, you know what? I need to just look and, I need to put my butt in a chair and start telling my own stories, and then start throwing them out like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Too, And so that's the last probably 8 or 10 years when I've been really I started doing short stories and sending them out into the world. And then I gathered it up enough, and it just kind of grew it from there. But yeah, so it wasn't so much. And then once I got into that, I started out. You do things where it's already done. You do nonfiction, what they call creative nonfiction, where you're just you're putting. I don't understand creative nonfiction, but it's telling your own story, but fictionalizing it a little bit. And so I would do that. I have a story about the death of my father, and just different aspects in my life up to that point. And I have a story. It's called "The Man in Dick Van Dyke's Hat." And it started out to be a story about my favorite uncle. He's really my great uncle. And he went to, he was in the Army. He was a master sergeant. He went to Vietnam 4 times. He did 4 tours.
Damn.
You only have to do 2. And then they can't make you go back. So he volunteered to go back the 3rd time. And my Aunt Nita, his wife, wasn't real happy about that, but okay. And he did it, and he came back, and then he volunteered to go the 4th time. And my Aunt Nita really did not like that. And I was over there at his going away party, and I love this man to death. And I was maybe 7. And they lived in a mobile home park in Azle. So everybody's outside barbecuing and talking. Man, Nita wasn't talking. She was yelling. And so I knew the grown-ups were upset, and I knew I had heard some scuttlebutt. He's going to die, and all of this stuff. So I'm worried about my Uncle Paul. And I was inside playing with my little green army men. And my Uncle Paul came in. This one of the reasons why I love Uncle Paul is Uncle Paul always looked out for me, and he came to make sure I was okay. And he came in, and he's like, "What are you doing? What's going on?" And he's like, "I'm Nita says, you could get killed over there." And he picked up one of my little green army men. It was he was carrying a rifle and an ammunition case, and he's running. And he picked him up, and he said, "Mark, I guarantee you, if I get shot over there, it'll be right here." And he pointed at the little green army man's butt. He said, "I'll get shot in the butt because I'll be running away." And so, I was 6, and a grown-up said "butt" to me, and so that's funny. And it just made me feel better. So anyway, I wanted to write a story about that part of my life. And I had this other character that was just sitting around. He's the man. He was sort of a circus ringmaster costume, and he would stand on the corner downtown Fort Worth, and he would wait for certain people to come up, and then he'd get in front of them and he'd say, "Hey, want to see something different?" And he'd take them down this alley, and I wasn't really sure what, that's all I had. And so that's why I was just sitting over in a file, you know. And so I'm writing about my Uncle Paul, and this voice was like, "Want to see something different, guy? He needs to go right in there." And I'm like, "You're crazy. This is about my Uncle Paul. This is a heartwarming tale about my Uncle Paul, not some magical guy showing people I don't know what down an alley." And it just was like, put it. And so I did. And then that's when I got on the train. That's when I started listening to my subconscious, and it's a cool little story. So
That's
anyway,
fun. So
does that answer?
Yeah, we got a thumbs up. So that's a man in Dick Van Dyke's hat. And where can we find that story?
That is I did not bring a copy of that. I have a short story collection called Metaphor in a Hat.
Yeah.
After the man in Dick Van Dyke's hat. Because he was a metaphor for, you got to read it.
Well, we got to close this up. Tell folks where they can find all of your literary works.
My website is Mark A. Nobles Writer. Pretty clever, right, for a name for a website.
Yeah,
MarkANoblesWriter.com. You can find all my stuff there. You can find where I'll be at book fairs and speaking engagements I have will be on there. You can order books on the website. You can also, all of the booksellers, online stuff, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, all of the usual suspects.
Mark A. Nobles.
Mark A. Nobles. If you just Google Mark A. Nobles, you're either going to get me. There's a divorce lawyer in Tennessee.
That's not the right one.
That's not me. And there's a rugby player, I think in Australia. And I'm not a rugby player. So.
Excellent, excellent. I know that I've seen at least this one pop up, and probably Rock and Roll Roots on Amazon. So I can vouch for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not done with Mark A. Nobles. He's going to give us some co-hosting duties now.
Oh.
As we move into, and I just decided this, we're going to have a button. It's like dun dun dun, or for like the Shark Tank part of this. We've got some business owners and some people that have things to promote in here.
So I can give the hook to people?
Yeah, you'll be able to do the hook, and then you get to ask questions. But we're changing it up from last week. Everybody's got 1 minute to talk about their brand because we went really long last week. So I got the orange mic up here. Dimitri, would you start us off? Can you come tell us about Market Match?
I also have copies here, so you can buy them in this fine establishment tonight.
You guys, if you want to walk away with any of these, and I promise you every single one of these is worth your time, you want to take all 4 home with you. But Mark has them for sale, and I'll be happy to get with you right after this. All right, Dimitri? This is Dimitri King, and he is on our Tuesday morning show as a co-host.
Hey, what's going on there? Whoa.
Oh, you're good. Keep that thing close to your mouth.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I turned the speaker down a little bit, but I wanted to make sure the audio's good on this side. So.
Gotcha.
But you're loud.
My name is Dimitri King. I am the founder of a company called Market Match. What we are is a tech company that's a fun way to do market research and surveys using swipe technology. So imagine Tinder, but for everything else for people. What we do is help establishments or companies or retail, anybody, if you have an event, to help you forecast what's in demand by actually letting your customer base swipe through whatever your selections are, so that way you know what's in demand. I will ask, I actually was just nominated for Man of Influence Award, and it's the last day. I forgot to actually say it on the show this morning, but it's the last day to vote. If you could vote for me, you can go to my Instagram, which is marketmatch.app. And then hit the link in the bio, and it'll say vote for Dimitri. You can click that, put your name in, and then vote for me, and then hopefully I can win that prize.
Excellent. So hopefully everybody got that, but I had to turn the speaker down because there was feedback coming. But go vote for Dimitri. It's on Instagram and
Marketmatch.app.
The link is in the bio.
Yep.
Click on that. It's our last day to vote for him, man of influence. I know I voted on it once. Can I vote on it one more time tonight? Or
I think it's just one time, but if
Okay.
you want to try again, feel free.
okay,
All they can
give
do
it
is
a
tell
shot.
you no.
Exactly. All right, who's next? Oh, right there.
Sorry.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Oh, I got it. I'm on it. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Natasha Mankins, and I'm a functional medicine pharmacist, but my drug dealing days in a pharmacy are over because I started a wellness business called Sultrosium Wellness, and I do a deep dive into root cause of what symptoms are causing your body to be out of whack, and we just do a personalized treatment plan, and it's all online and it's all through consultation.
Excellent. How do people find you?
My website is sultrosiumwellness.com. That's SULTROSIUM wellness.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here. We met her last week, at 1 Million Cups.
Yeah, that was great.
And are you going to be going back to 1 million Cups?
Absolutely. I'll be there tomorrow morning.
Okay, I'm going to miss this week. I've got a storage container showing up that we're going to turn into the new Fort Worth Roots studio, and I've got some more brush to clear. So that's what I'll be doing with my Wednesday morning.
Hopefully you won't get an axe stuck in the tree.
You saw that? Yeah.
I saw that.
I got a
Or a
steel
chainsaw.
stuck in the freaking tree the other day. All right, who else? Mandy, did you want to get on the mic? I tell you what, I can turn this thing up louder if you'll get on probably the stage away from the mic.
Test 1, 2. Okay.
That
I think I'm
sounds
gonna
good.
stand
Okay.
right here. Yes, no, maybe so. You want me to go to the stage?
I think you're okay.
I don't know.
Let's try
How about
that.
here? Check. Yeah, we're good.
That's
okay.
good.
Hey, Dimitri. I hear you every Tuesday. This is really cool. My name is Mandy Hand. I used to have a band called Big Heaven. We had a good run. We are still streaming on all the streaming services. I write pop songs. I'm a
should check it
songwriter. I identified with a lot of what you were saying, Mark, about being a writer as you were talking. So all that is true. I'm working on a solo album. Working title is Mandyland. We'll see. I hope to have it out before the end of 2025, but funding is kind of a thing. So if you need a solo artist for any type of event whatsoever, you can hit me up. MC Hand Music at Twitter or, what's it called now? X, whatever. It's
yeah.
still Twitter to me. MC Hand Music on Instagram or X, or Mandy Hand on Facebook. Thanks, Andrew.
Absolutely. Anybody else here to promote a brand? Can we get you up here to talk about, you got a gig coming up, you got a book coming out, you got a business that you want to promote, anything? Okay. There's 100 people in here and nobody has a business. That's okay. That's all right. Well, thank you everybody for coming out. We do this every Tuesday. If you do have a business or a brand and you'd like to meet me out back here in about 20 minutes, we're going to get next to a mural and we're going to do a little social media video so that we can put that up on the Fort Worth Roots social media sites. So, all right. Well, Mark, you survived.
I did.
Again.
Yeah.
This
I
is,
hardly
yes,
cussed or-
a big round of applause for Mark Nobles. Thank you all for being here. We've done, what is this now? Is this only our third recording?
With just me, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to come back when, like August or something when the next book is out.
Well, look at the crowd you brought out.
I know.
We got to have you back on.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need this.
We need a bigger place.
We do. We need a bigger place. We'll have to settle for this for now. You okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it here.
Mark, I love you. Can we get you back on the show?
Absolutely. Anytime, you just call me.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for being here. If you would, go to Instagram and give us a follow. It is Fort Worth Roots on Instagram. And if we can ever help you, your business, if you have an event coming up, anything, please let us know. That Fort Worth Roots morning show happens Monday through Thursday, releases at 9 a.m., and it is all about just getting your message out. So anything, and it doesn't even have to be your thing. If it's happening in North Texas and you know about it and you want the community to know about it, leave us a little voice recording. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Send it in. We will play it on the show. Thank you again, and stick around. Jacoby's got the good drinks in the back, and he's ready to serve you guys up. And we will see you next week.
Another big thank you to everybody that made even the slightest appearance out at McFly's this last Tuesday. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All boats rise with the tide, man. We're trying to get there together. So come on out, be a part of our tribe. No cover. It's just fun. And we're trying to do everything we can to get you guys some free attention on a platform that's been building over 5 years. And we go harder every time you look up. I had a friend of mine, he was... We're going to get into this. Hold on. Let me start over. The Titan, the champion, the biggest podcast in North Texas, just put out their final episode. Now, they flirted with the idea of bringing it back occasionally. Anyway, in this episode, where he basically is just saying his goodbyes and why they're shutting it down and what's been going on with him, he mentions, go check out Fort Worth Roots, because apparently that guy puts out 5 episodes a day. Man, I'm not kidding. That's on the horizon. Like, we are... I need help. Somebody give me some assistance here. If we could, we would do it. We really would. That's our primary goal, is to increase our output by 9 more episodes a week. And we want to do that because there's too much going on, and you need to know about it. So, anyway, we're going to keep pushing forward, and we want you to push forward with whatever you're doing, whatever you got going on out there. Even if you just shut down North Texas' most popular, longest-running, most badass podcast, we don't want you to quit. We want you to continue to create. Dustin, we love you. Damn, I can't believe it's over. But is it? I don't know. It's never really over. And there's a pretty good chance that we already lived all this once before, and we'll live it again. So... or something like that. Anyway, this was a great episode. I gushed a little bit about how much of a friend Mark has been to me. He's been a very strong advocate for Fort Worth Roots since about 3 years and some change ago, whenever we got connected with the Hauk family. And by proxy, Mark was sucked into the Fort Worth Roots tornado. Would it be more of a tornado or more of a hurricane? I don't know. Anyway, Mark is the best. He has been just so instrumental in our live events, getting to meet people, and of course as a guest, he's been on a couple of times and talked about books and whatnot. Mark is probably the reason I started reading books again. I couldn't read before I met Mark. I learned words just so I could hang out with the man. Maybe. I don't know. It has been the roughest month in the Fort Worth Roots universe. We are no longer doing Donovan episodes. That's over. Those are gone. Hoppin', that's a thing of the past. Hoppin's gone. And the world is just a crazy, crazy place. We lost Gasagi. Sean, the I guess creator of the group, the lead man, he's moving off. He's going to be leaving Texas. And so as a result of that, they don't need the studio anymore. So we got rid of the studio that we've had over there for 3 years, off of Yale. And I am in the process of dismantling that. And the reason is, when I got into that thing, I wanted to turn it into kind of an oasis for creators. And it just didn't pan out like that. People are too busy. There's just too much going on. And to be honest with you, it's an old, out-of-date building with all sorts of problems. So, anyway, not a big deal, but that's going to go away. And then in the future, what I would like to do is partner with some of you creative badasses out there that are looking for a studio space and want to share in this goal of bringing our community together. That's what the studio is supposed to be. But I think we need a more up-to-date building, something that's got a little bit better ease of access. I know a lot of people complained about the location of that studio. I didn't think it was bad. Worked good for me. Anyway, we'll get that figured out. But what I've come to find is that I don't need a studio. I don't have to have it. We do recordings all over the place. Of course, weekly at McFly's, our morning show. It's mobile. Right now we're doing it at Fort Worth Float Company, but we are looking for a sponsor for that show. So if somebody wants to sponsor the morning show, hit me up, and we can do it at your location or any other location, as long as it's within 40 minutes of my chicken coop, because I got to take care of them chickens in the morning. Y'all know I got chickens? I got 2 chickens. I don't have any eggs, but I got 2 chickens. I am sitting here in our living room, out in the woods, secluded, and I am waiting for a giant, this is what they call it, it's a 40-foot HC shipping container. The HC stands for high cube. Apparently gives me 9 more inches of vertical space in this big steel shipping container. So anyway, when this thing shows up, we're going to start unloading all the stuff from the studio and putting it in this big old daggum storage container. But we're going to modify it. We're going to wall it up, insulate it, power it, get it cooled off way better than the previous studio, because that air is going to have nowhere to go. In the previous studio, the air just ran through the cracks in the wall. It was pathetic, but it's what we were working with. Anyway, really excited about this. More to follow. Probably going to be some videos of shenanigans instead of a big metal container. All right, let's get into these sponsors real quick. Guys, gals, we vet these folks. We will not do any kind of advertising for places that we don't believe in. And a lot of that has to do with their good business practices and how highly they're respected by the community. There's also a moral barometer there. If I think you're kind of a shithead, we're not going to put you on the show, because I don't want my friends, you guys, listeners, using services with people that are going to treat them badly or whatever. So there's a huge vetting process here, and for a long time, we've tried to keep it local businesses. And that option is starting to come to a close. We are going to have to start outsourcing our services to a broader range of clients from the North Texas area rather than just Fort Worth, because I don't know if you guys know this, economically, everybody is suffering right now. And there are not a whole lot of businesses that are focusing on marketing. They're just trying to keep their doors open. By the way, speaking of that, the Cicada this Saturday, go to their Instagram for all the show details, because I don't have that in front of me, but the Cicada this Saturday is doing a Please Save the Cicada event. I think it's going to be packed. I got messages from all sorts of people that are going, so I'll be there. Our wonderful co-host Megan will be there, and a whole bunch of awesome people. So, somebody got on to me the other day because I put up a post saying, "Hey, go check out the Cicada one last time before it closes." And immediately I started getting messages like, "Hey, man, they're not closed yet. They're trying to make it. Don't say that." Well, folks, I don't think that businesses, whenever they put up that SOS message, that's them kind of throwing in the towel, man. And no shade on Tyler or John. They've done something incredible. The Cicada is an extremely special place. But you can only go as far as you can go. And I think they got to the end of their runway. The people that own that building increased their rent by 25%, and I heard a rumor that they also had an incentive. Those pool tables in there, the ATM, maybe the jukebox, any money that went into those, they were supposed to get that amount deducted from their rent. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true. Doesn't matter anyway, but it sounds like they pulled that incentive as well. So in addition to their rent going up 25%, they lost a huge revenue source. So you tell me. Anyway, if you could make it, I'd say go check out Cicada one last time. Because I think the next message that we're going to see on their Instagram is something to the effect of, "Well, guys, it's been fun. We're going to focus on our full-time jobs now and try to pull ourselves out of the financial devastation that has become the Cicada." It's not their fault, man. They did a great job building something special. They worked their asses off. And, man, sometimes you just can't fight the waves. So, Saturday, the Cicada. It'd be cooler if you did. All right, so that's enough out of that. Listen, we do that morning show. Y'all know, right? You can literally call and leave a message talking about anything you want to promote. A news story, your brand, your business. And you can leave us a voicemail, or you can just get on Instagram, DM us, Fort Worth Roots, hit that little audio recorder, and leave us a message that way. We'll play it on the show. I don't think you guys believe me when I tell you we are really just here to support you. We want you to get your word out. All right, sponsors, Purple Web Consulting, purplewebconsulting.com. That's our buddy Jeff Zero. He's got website design and hosting, e-commerce integration, digital strategy, and consulting. His phone number is 817-629-6069. He's making modern business tools accessible to the small business owner so that they can compete with the big dogs. Fort Worth Float Company, they got special deals for you on the Fort Worth Roots Instagram page. You can click on our bio and then click on the deal from Fort Worth Float Company. It's a big discount. And I can't remember if I was able to, I don't know if there was enough space to put both deals up there. But basically, you can just call Kevin at Fort Worth Float Company and be like, hey, I'm a new customer, never been in there before, and I wanted to hear about these Fort Worth Roots deals. And he'll give you the rundown. But it's a great spot. It's the only place in, I think, North Texas that you can experience deprivation tanks, the float tanks, with a locally owned business. There's one that just popped up. I'm not going to tell you where, and I'm not going to tell you the name. But I will tell you that company is headquartered out of Australia. So, make good choices. The Davis team. Look no further than our friends at the Davis team for all your property needs. No commitment necessary. If you have questions about property, then visit them online, yourdavisteam.com, or give them a call, 817-755-0504. And I told you guys, we use our sponsors. We trust our sponsors. So we try to find people that we use their services. Jordan and her team are in the process of selling a third home for us over here at Fort Worth Roots. So, I'm telling you, I've been working with this lady since 2017 probably. And I would never use anyone else because I have used other agents in the past and I paid for it. Jordan knows what she's doing. She's got 13 full-time real estate agents that work on selling each one of these properties. It's like a Ford Fiesta versus a Formula One car on a 2-mile long runway. Jordan would be the Formula One car. That other agent, that's a Ford Fiesta. That's kind of the comparison I just came up with. Anyway, they know what they're doing, man. If you got questions, just call them. If you need to sell or buy a home, just call them. And there's no commitment necessary. 817-755-0504. Galaxy Wilderness Disc Golf is dedicated to promoting disc golf to the masses for its health benefits through outdoor therapy, exercise, and camaraderie. Find them on Facebook as Galaxy Wilderness Disc Golf. Their email is galaxywildernessdg@gmail.com. And their phone number is 682-228-0399. This is a great addition to any event that you might be trying to put on. They will deliver and set up an entire disc golf course, depending on how much room you got, how many baskets you want. Play your heart out, and then they come back and pick it all up. Bailey, be quiet. My dog's making noise. Okay, where are we at? The Body Scrubbery on Instagram as The Body Scrubbery. You can find them online also as thebodyscrubbery.com. And their phone number is 925-808-8222. Did I say too many times? A boutique and unique spa experience. Don't cheat yourself, treat yourself. Luxury foot spa, full body scrubs, infrared heat wraps, massage, bubble tubs, mud wraps, facials, couple packages, and small group parties. The Body Scrubbery. If you haven't been in there yet, you're way behind the power curve. There's a bunch of people filming for The Landman. That thing with Billy Bob Thornton. I haven't seen it yet, but they're filming around here. And they sent a bunch of their movie stars over there to the Body Scrubbery to get some R&R. So, if they can find it, you can find it. The Body Scrubbery. Roofing Solutions by Darren Hout. Dude, if you're on the west side of Fort Worth, Weatherford, Brock, Aledo, you got hit so hard the other night. Hell came through, and people started sending me pictures of this stuff. It was crazy. I'm glad I didn't have to experience that, but if you did, you need to get somebody up there to look at it. You get 50% off a roofing tune-up by our friends over there at Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk, a name that has been trusted in this community for a very, very long time. Before Darren started his roofing company about 15 years ago, his father had City Roofing, and there are some old-ass black and white pictures of Darren's dad by the City Roofing sign or whatever. It's just really cool. So that family has been doing this for a very long time, and they know what they're doing. And they have a brick and mortar location right next to the studio that we're getting rid of. The reason that's important is because whenever these hailstorms come in, these storm chasers, they show up, all these little hell bunnies. They come in from all over the place. Houston, Oklahoma, other nefarious places. And they will they'll put a roof on. But if you have any issues and you call them, it's going to take a while for them to come back. And probably what they'll do is they'll just pay some third-party agent to come out there and, half-ass fix your roof. You want one of these local guys that has a brick-and-mortar location because you know that they're going to be there when you need something. So check that out. Get that roof looked at, 817-882-6520. Online, it is roofingsolutionshauk.com. All of this, by the way, is in the show notes. McFly's Pub, where we did this recording, it's at 6104 LTJG Barnett Road, Fort Worth, Texas, 76114. It's a badass little 1980s Back to the Future themed bar with an excellent outdoor patio, complete with fire pit and room for your fur, baby. Daily drink specials and fun activities almost every day of the week. See what's new at McFly's on their Instagram page at McFly's Pub. Cloudland Recording Studio, analog and digital recording studio located in the heart of Fort Worth, just 1 mile from downtown and 5 minutes from the near South Side Entertainment District of Magnolia. Cloudland Recording Studios is one of the best options in Fort Worth to get your music fixed up, to get that album worked on. Got an EP? Got an idea for an album? Let Joe Tacky over there at Cloudland Studios guide the way. Excellent studio, experts behind the wheel. It's the one you want. And I don't know this. I need to get in there and talk to Joe. I bet he is less expensive than 90% of your other options. I bet you. That's just a good dude trying to do the Lord's work. So I bet he's not charging an arm and a leg. But I don't know his price structure. You have to check with him on that. That's all the sponsors we got on the list for you guys today, folks. If you have a business inside the now North Texas region, we would like to help you get the word out. We are talking to 200,000 accounts every month now, and we're growing. We're getting bigger every day. Every damn day. Look, since you're still listening, I just want you to know whatever you got going on out there, whatever struggles that you're facing, I know they seem incredibly unique. A lot of people are hurting right now. This economy is absolute dog shit. And I am watching as a lot of people, left and right, forward and back of me, are having all sorts of issues. You're going to get through this. You're going to be okay. And, if you ever need to talk to somebody, or if you just need an outlet, let's get together. Just be good to yourself. I'm here for you. Don't stop. Get it. Okay. That's enough out of me for today. I will be back on the mic Monday morning. Releases at 9 o'clock, Monday through Thursday. If you got anything to promote or you just want to give me a shout out, you have no idea how much that means to me. And we'll play it on the show. All right, folks. Till Monday. I'll see you then. Wrong button.